Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully that church-esque symphony doesn't put anybody off. I wish we could use something else, but I don't pay enough money for Restream to be able to do our own intro music or video. So here we are. Welcome to 2021. Another episode, first episode in 2021. We're all stoked. Hopefully this new year is a lot better than the previous year. Granted, it wasn't all that bad for myself. I don't know about you, Matt, but it was all right. Globally it was pretty bad, but me personally, it was not that bad. So,
No, no, didn't contract the Rona, so that's all you can really.
well, yeah, exactly. So
you didn't get that. It's a win.
yeah. So we're back. New episode, new year. Same cast, same characters. My name's Josh, aka Jay Frosty. With me, as always, is my brother Matt, aka Technique. We're the little co-host duo of this show, W Key Podcast. If this is the first time you guys are finding us, because we are broadcasting literally everywhere, stick around. Hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you maybe learn something. And if you're liking what you're hearing, or if you're listening to it on the podcast form, let us know. We're always available on socials. You can hit us up. We'll go through all that jargon a little bit later. But yeah, did you guys do anything crazy for New Year's?
No, we had plans to kind of stay up, like, oh yeah, New Year's, whatever. 12:01 rolled around and we were in bed.
Yeah,
not much happened.
Yeah. Dude, it's odd. I mean, New Year's, I feel like it's always a letdown anyways. Like, people want it to be something crazy. And I feel like unless you're friends with like celebrities, like it never is crazy. Cause like most people, yeah.
I never had a New Year's that I remember, oh man, that one was so crazy.
Yeah.
It's all the same shit. Just, oh yeah, woo, New Year, let's go. Yeah.
And like, I honestly kind of preferred, we just Zoomed with a bunch of my college friends, and it's like, I almost kind of preferred that over, I'd rather be with them in person, sure. But I preferred that over like going out to the bars and waiting in lines and paying ridiculous amounts of money for drinks. That's the one thing this pandemic has really alleviated for me, is that, because Kat, my girlfriend, loves that kind of shit. And I am happy that I don't have to go as often. So it's pretty low key. Honestly, we got done on the Zoom at like 2:00 in the morning, and then me and the boys jumped on COD until like 4:30. So
insane.
I know. Yeah, we have a problem. I think we've played till like.
I guess, but it's not you do it every night. You guys do like every.
No, it's like Friday and Saturday usually.
Two nights, which I guess is allowed, but when you guys go in, you go hard.
Well, because it's the only days that like Bill, it's the only days he plays, really. So it's like, gotta get the time in. So yeah, so for everyone joining us, this is a podcast that we do about gaming. It's called the W Key Podcast. We like to we do this recording, the live stream, every other Monday. So this is the first Monday of the year. So from here on out, obviously, unless schedules change, things get in the way, it'll happen every other week. So mark your calendars for that. Keep an eye on our Twitter. We also tweet out if we're not going to be able to make it, things like that. I'm going to get the boring stuff out of the way right in the beginning. New year, same us. We obviously want to make the content better. We want to make sure we're bringing you guys regular stuff. One of my particular resolutions is to be a little more active on the show's YouTube channel, get some more content out there. But either way, if you're liking everything that you're seeing, you're hearing, you're listening to, whatever it might be, hit us up. Like us on our social medias, follow us, or like the tweets, like the Instagram stories, follow us on all of the streaming services, subscribe to our YouTube channel. All those things help out a lot. If you guys are strictly audio only, a big way to help us out in the new year is to rate and review us. You can go to podchaser.com. It's like the IMDb of podcast. You can drop a rating, drop a review, if that's something that you're into. If you're not into it, you don't do things like that, that's fine. Listening and enjoying the content is more than enough for us. Another thing that really helps, word of mouth. If you guys are liking what you're hearing, liking what you're watching, you think someone else is going to like it too, friend, family member, let them know, hey, I got a cool podcast I like to listen to. These guys are kind of idiots, but whatever, they're enjoyable, things like that. Let them know. Word of mouth is really huge. It really helps us out. So if you could do those two things for us at some point during the new year, that would be fantastic. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I think we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. It's I'll forewarn everyone. I feel like we've been COD heavy. We generally kind of always have something about Call of Duty on there.
It's too big of a game.
Exactly. It's the biggest game right now. And it's the biggest game for multiple reasons. It's really good, but also it's really bad. And they're making really stupid decisions. So I'll forewarn everyone from the onset. There's going to be some COD. Probably a good amount of COD. We have a section and we have some thoughts. So as you can imagine, if you played the game, you could probably know where we're going. So just be warned if COD's not really your cup of tea. We're probably talking decent bit about COD. So keep that in mind. We usually have been starting for at least a month or more. Well, more than a month, 8 episodes or so. I've been doing This Week in Gaming. Unfortunately, I went through the gaming archives, and honestly, there's probably some games in there that are bigger, but I didn't recognize any of them.
Yeah.
And so I went through the whole week of January, the first week of January. And that thing goes 30 years back. If you've been a part of some of the other episodes, we've had some things that are 35 years old. So I didn't find anything that I was aware of, that sometimes you see a title and you're like, oh, I remember that game. I saw literally nothing for this week in the gaming archives that really piqued my interest. So I was like, okay, I guess we're not really doing much there. So, if you do have something, if you guys know something, if anyone's listening at home or anyone's watching the stream, if you know of something that was major, that was a lot of fun, that you really liked, that happened to have released this week, anytime in the past however many years, shoot us a message, let us know, drop it in chat. We'll take a look. But yeah, as far as I could tell, there wasn't really anything that struck a familiarity chord with me when I was looking through the list. I was like, man, there's really a whole lot of nothing. So, it is what it is.
Sad.
But
I can't have big hitters that we all remember every single month or every single time. But
and I mean, admittedly, just the way that the industry works, a lot of the big games are probably going to be, it's going to be summer and holiday seasons, really, when the major games that everyone remembers is coming out. So
stuff I ever been looking forward to is always around holiday seasons, because that's when they make their money, is holiday season.
Yeah. So speaking of money, 2020 was a big year for a lot of things. Big year for a lot of games, big year for Twitch, big year for YouTube, big year for the streaming, world, the video game world as a whole. Mm-hmm. Obviously 2020 is over technically, but they still haven't tabulated all the revenue from the year completely yet. Mm-hmm. But it is estimated that the gaming industry will basically the gaming industry will have had more revenue than the movie industry and sports industry combined. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, but it's not surprising. At the same time, there's a massive fucking asterisk that's going to hit you in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Because the year it was.
Yeah. Because of the pandemic. Yeah.
Movie theaters are
dead
and are
pretty much dead, honestly.
I went to the movie theater once this year. They opened up for a quick second, and then they just and closed right back down. So theaters are just basically gonzo this whole year.
Honestly, and this is a little bit of an aside, but I'm not surprised that it took this long, but it shows how sort of weak of an industry that they were, that the pandemic can topple them, because
all it took.
Once it happened and everyone's like, oh, everyone could just rent the movies at home. We'll just go straight to rental. I'm like, oh, I'm sure they were like, oh, because then me, I'm lazy. I like going to movie theater, sure. But if you can tell me I can spend the same amount of money to watch it in my house, on my couch, with my snacks, my food for free, not for free, obviously, but all you have to do is pay for the movie. I'm going to say, yeah. And so
go towards the movie industry, those movies they dropped, Wonder Woman or whatever, they dropped straight to streaming services. If you had to pay on your service, does that money count towards movie?
I don't know, actually. That's a good question.
Because obviously that's a way of to make up some money, but I assume
Yeah.
they obviously did not do near as
Well, because Wonder Woman was a unique one because Wonder Woman was free
Yeah,
to
it did
HBO Max subscribers.
Yeah.
But a lot of the other ones, that have been on like Disney or Amazon.
Disney Plus, and you had to pay $30
Yeah.
to watch it when it first dropped.
Yeah, a lot of the ones on Prime Video, you still have to rent. Like
Yeah.
you rent basically, it's $20, and I mean, but that's really like the cost of 2 movie tickets. If you and Carly are going to go, or me and Kat are going to go, that's $20 is like cheaper than two movie tickets essentially. So, so it makes sense. But anyways, the number $179.7 billion is what the gaming industry's revenue for 2020 is expected to be. Keep in mind, 30 billion of that comes solely from Call of Duty, from Warzone. They made $30 billion this year. So, that's like,
I'm curious to see how like close gaming was nipping at the butt of sports and movies last year. Like
previously, yeah, in like a regular year.
Yeah, like how close were they in a normal year?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to tell because I would say
it was definitely
20. Yeah, I mean, and I don't think I don't really know that. I mean, at least most people that I know and I talk to, I don't think would really be surprised at the fact that gaming's eclipsed both of those things combined.
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of shocking that it's sports as a whole, and in the United States, my guess is that's hockey, basketball, football, soccer, baseball, like the major sports combined. And so yeah, that kind of shocks me, because if you were to tell me it's bigger than football and movies combined, that's like, oh yeah, totally. But then when you say like all of sports and all of movies, I'm like, ooh, that's huge,
man. And
yeah,
good teams and plenty of fans for it all.
And I wouldn't say that I'm shocked at that. I mean, obviously we do this podcast. We're I would say a little more keyed into the gaming industry. It's a passion of ours. So we know what's out there. We know how many people are out there that like it. We know how many people are buying games. Well, not the exact numbers, but obviously, the idea is we have a sense of the size of the industry, and it's massive. And so telling me that it's eclipsed, it's obviously the perfect storm. You couldn't really go to a lot of sporting events. Movies were pretty much shut down. And all there is really to do is to watch streamers and play video games. So yeah, and it was sort of the perfect storm, but I think this is just a starting point, and it's going to keep going. I mean, I think it's probably never going to dip back down now. It'll probably always be bigger than those industries combined. Yeah. And it's probably going to get bigger than movies, TV, sport, like everything combined. It'll be the biggest industry on the planet soon enough.
Eventually, I mean, I've been saying that, yeah, gaming will surpass everything. But I just thought it would take some time. This year definitely just kind of ignited a bomb to just catapult it.
Yeah.
Everything, and I do not see any reason why it's going to look back. It's going to just keep on going.
I mean, and you look at it's and to the I don't know about to the credit, but I would say maybe another little asterisk in that is you have a lot of people who are in all the industries. You have a lot of athletes that are also becoming pretty well-known streamers, or they were already well-known athletes, but they're getting into streaming. They're playing with big name video game stars like Mercs and Tim and all of them. And so you have some cross-pollination there between the industries, and it's really fueling their brand personally and their success and their wealth personally. But in secondary to that would be the gaming industry. It wouldn't be the sport. Say an athlete comes and gets on Twitch and it's pretty good and makes a name for themselves, it's going to fuel and it's going to give money to their personal brand, but then it's also going to lend to the gaming industry. And really, as a tertiary buff, maybe the sporting, events, but really it's like personal gain, gaming gain, and then whatever they came from.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, plenty of people flock to athletes streaming because if you're a fan of your team and whatnot, and you got a stud player who you think is awesome. If they stream, it gives you a way to possibly interact with them. usually you don't get a chance to interact with the stars. They don't really have the time, or they're not around to be accessed. So if they stream, you can jump in and start talking. Like, hey, what's up, man?
That's definitely a mystique that's fading too. I would say that's an older, like a famous, like from a famous person, as an older fame. No, I'm not a famous person. Not from me being a famous person, but like from, if you look at famous people, I feel like that mystique of them being super, like being dicks and like really hard to connect with and like interact with on a regular basis. That's definitely an older generation famous thing. Like the newer generation, like the newer athletes, the newer star, like they're doing all these things. They're streaming, they're playing video games, they have YouTube channels. So like connecting with famous people is becoming easier.
For sure.
And I think it's funny. So I was watching a YouTube video for Z-Laner. I don't know if have you ever watched.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
He's a freak on the sticks. It's unreal. But anyways, he was making a YouTube video about his controller settings, and then fucking Golden Tate just hops into his party. He's like, "Hey man, you playing?" Like as he's recording the video, Golden Tate just kind of jumps in, and he's like, "Oh," he's like, "Yo man," like has a little chit chat with him. He's like, "All right, like I gotta go real quick, but I'll be on maybe in like half hour if you're still on." And I was just like, "Oh, to the life, man." To like, whoever thought, growing up, whoever thought that a gamer could like literally be like, not even that Z joined Golden Tate's party, like a gamer solely famous for gaming had a professional athlete jump into his party like in a game, like, "Yeah, you want to play?" Like, you know what I mean? Like I would have, you told me that when I was younger, I would like, you're that'll never happen.
Everyone loves video games, man.
Yeah, and it's true. And I mean, it's the rise of these gamers,
and they like to spend their downtime.
I know,
gaming it.
And I mean, gamers, streamers are becoming famous, famous people. I wouldn't say I would still say they're not on the same level as movie stars or like mega athletes, but they're getting up there. And I mean, they're making theirs, I mean, Tim and Nick both have houses down in Florida now. Like, they were talking about buying fucking Lamborghinis and Bugattis the other day, like $3.5 million cars. Granted, they weren't actually like seriously, but they were like watching videos on it. I'm like, man, like, could you imagine, just, hey, one day you started Twitch and next thing you know, like 8 years later, you're rolling in it.
You see Nick's like bets he posted to drop
$14K,
$1,000 in sports bets.
Yeah. Week. So either way, the gaming industry is up. It is never going back down. I don't think, unless something catastrophic happens. But I don't really. I mean, I have an idea of what that catastrophic thing could be. And it's development studios treating their games, all games that they release, like Call of Duty or Cyberpunk. But I don't think that'll happen. So realistically, I don't think that the industry is ever going down. And that 179.7 billion globally in revenue for the gaming industry in 2020, I think is only going to get bigger in 2021. So we'll be on the lookout for that. I mean, it's going places. I mean, it's breaking into areas that have never been broken into before. I mean, it's surpassing things that, and no one really thought it would anytime soon, at least. And here we are. We're riding the wave.
It's nuts. That's all I can say. I think we talked about when we had Andrew on for our first interview. I just remember being a kid, like gaming to me was kind of like, you never really talked about it for some reason. Just oh, you're a video gamer, you're a nerd. Like it just kind of felt like a little shame. So we don't really talk about it much now. It's just gaming is just huge and just fine.
No, and everyone does it.
I never thought it'd be the realm it is now.
Yeah, no, and it's normalized a lot of other things too. There's a lot of gamers that also like anime, and so like the whole idea of like anime is getting more popularized and stuff like that. So yeah, it comes with a lot of the fact that gaming, because most of these people, they look large, they seem larger to life than us, larger than life to us because they're celebrities in the gaming world. But I mean, most of them started out as gamers like the rest of us, and they have a lot of the similar traits and similar, tastes. And so it's normalizing a lot of other things too that, we as gamers when we were younger probably sheltered a bit too. So, but it's interesting either way. So yeah, so 179.7 billion. So that's a big number.
80 bill.
What?
Call it a cool 100.
Yeah,
Mil.
we're just gonna round up 180 billion. And Call of Duty, like I mentioned earlier, Call of Duty estimated 30 billion of that revenue goes straight to Call of Duty. Yeah, and but you know what they have to show for their $30 billion? A fan base that is completely irate with them right now. They are actively killing this game.
But yeah,
Well, but
more so than usual.
yeah, and I mean, and I'll say, look at, and I think I mentioned it, when we talked about the initial integration of Cold War, they had all the guns in a really good spot before they integrated Cold War.
Yeah, I was always saying before this season came out, I thought the guns, the game itself, I guess, and the guns were in the best state it's ever been in.
Yeah, like listen, the R9 was a pain in the ass,
Was
and
but like everything else was close enough that you can get away with not having to use it.
yeah, and I mean, really, the biggest thing is like just don't push buildings. Like, and if you have to push buildings, you go in. I mean, yes, it was overpowered. I won't lie about that. And I used it because it was a blast, and I had no fear going into buildings, so I just pop, 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 and murder everybody. So, and it was overpowered. But like in all reality, it I would say it wasn't as bad as it is now, and that there's some truth to that. But to me, I also would say that I would take a DMR broken, solely just a DMR, over the R9. Really, kind of any day, I guess.
Yeah, want to be fine, but
yeah,
it's
so,
and it's at like one's at range and one's up close, so you're not safe anywhere. You're dead. You get in a house, you're dead.
So, for those who don't know, and you'd have to kind of be living under a rock to not know this right now, the DMR, it's not called Warzone anymore. It's called the DMR zone because everyone is running a DMR 14. Everyone has dual DMATIs, and so you have the MAC 10 listed. I wouldn't say the MAC 10 is overpowered. I think it needs a little bit of a buff or a little bit of a nerf to its range. But up close, it kills. If you look at all the stats, it kills just as fast as the MP5. So it's literally.
Was an issue. I think, it just never really got fixed. It just kind of got glossed over.
Everyone just got used to it.
And shit. Yeah. I mean, when I put the MAC 10, I want to put kind of like parentheses. Like MAC 10, I wouldn't say broken, but the thing still
shreds,
fries a little more up close than something should. I don't know, but definitely the range is the biggest starting point. That thing
feels like super fast out to like 50 meters. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Either way, so the big problem, the DMRs are laser beams. There's no damage drop off. So it's like a 2-tap to the head at any range. So if you can hit a shot at 400 meters, if you can hit 2 shots at 400 meters, you're doing the same damage as you would to someone who's 50, 60, 70 meters. So that's the big thing, or not the big thing, but that's one of the big things. I mean, the TTK itself needs to go up. It should take more shots to kill. I think it's like 2 to the chest and 1 to the head right now is like what most people get lucky with.
1 to the head, 1 to the chest. I feel like I got killed by it.
It's possible, depending on your plate situation. If you're fully plated, I think it's 2 to the chest and 1 to the head, or 2 to the head. If they've got stopping power in, just fucking lay on the ground and go into the fetal position because you'll die in 1 shot. And then the DMATIs. The DMATIs are essentially the Renettis, the Renettis from Modern Warfare. 3-round bursts, you're dual wielding them, and they basically, I was fully armored the other night.
And you're donezo.
Yeah, exactly. I was fully armored. I was playing Sunday night, Saturday, whatever it was. Fully armored, ran around the corner. I was chasing a guy, and he just swept through his field of view. His crosshairs were on my head, pulled the triggers, fully armored, down instantly. And it's unreal, and it's a massive problem. And you can't go anywhere, essentially. Like if you're running from like building to building, or if you're running out in a field, like you better just be praying to whatever God you believe in, because if anyone is on a building anywhere, has any sort of sight line on you, you are more or less dead.
Because that's like 1 to the head, 2 to the chest. If it's a single person, if you're playing squads,
it's just
raining shots.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You just like hit 1 apiece and you're done.
Yep. And so and why I said like I would almost rather have a DMR meta over an R9 meta is because even though the DMR is lethal, you still have to be accurate. The R9 was just kind of like spray and pray. You know, it would cover your whole screen, and if someone was there, you'd kill them basically.
Like
The DMR, the what?
said that the R9 is like super brain.
Yeah,
Like you do not need to do anything with it but just point and shoot.
Yep. And the DMR, you still have to be accurate. You still have to hit your shots. So that's like the one, positive I would say is you still have to hit your shots, so it makes it so that the meta is a little more bearable. But I don't think anyone's denying the fact that the meta is broken or those guns are broken. They still need to be nerfed to reduce the TTK or increase the TTK rather time to kill. But there's hidden things to me, and I've thought a lot about this. I have suffered through. I'm still doing it. I'm still suffering through Warzone. It's gotten really bad, like really bad. There's extenuating circumstances that make the current state even worse. So you have the DMRs and the Diamatis that are just mowing people down everywhere. Sure, the ground loot fucking sucks. Like you can't kill anyone with the ground loot weapons that you find. Like it's impossible. And if someone pulls like a gold weapon or even like a blue or purple, like they almost instantly have the upper hand. And it's just not good. The ground loot situation.
Think of what I would even like. I know like the FFAR was solid, but I think they kind of nerfed it a little bit, didn't they? So
I'll tell you how bad the ground loot is.
It's not that great.
It makes picking up the green M91 that's been in the game since its onset, that the light machine gun from Modern Warfare, it makes picking up that gun appealing. When in past seasons you would like not you'd run away from it because it was horrible. And the ground loot's so bad it makes that gun appealing, and that's how bad it is. Like that's how bad the ground loot is. It's horrible. So there's a ground loot issue.
Dude, watch out!
Oh my god, Gray Pellington sniper rifles everywhere. So there's that. So there's the ground loot sucks. So dropping somewhere looting, it's harder. It's dangerous. I don't know. I would say it's more of a pain in the ass than it has been in previous seasons for sure. And this happens, we go through changes where they change the ground loot and the loot tables and dropping into games are more difficult in the beginning because the ground loot sucks. So that's that. I mean, that's something that's every kind of BR deals with because it's all randomly generated, obviously. And then two of the other things that I think, people have lived with, people have had complaints about them in the past. People have called for them to be changed in some way, shape, or form. They've never been changed. And it's just the nature of how the metas have been in the past that it wasn't at the forefront. Mm-hmm. Ghost and Dead Silence. Mm-hmm. Those two things in this current meta have become a sore spot for me personally, and I know from watching streamers that it's become a sore spot for them too. Daddy has always been an issue, but now that you've got these like dual killing machines that can just shred a whole team in like one clip if you get close enough to them, it's even worse. It's undeniably worse because of that. Ghost has always been a problem too, but generally the way it's run is most of the lobby gets their first loadout with Overkill, and then the second loadout they get with Ghost. So like for like half the game at least or so, you can still see people on UAVs and things like that. Now with the Diamatis, how powerful they are up close, you don't have to go that route. You can go Ghost right off the rip. So a minute into the game, literally everybody's ghosted. So heartbeats are useless. UAVs are useless. You don't know where to go. You take one step and next thing you know, you're getting mowed down because like there's people hiding in a corner somewhere. It's not one singular thing that's making it bad. It's kind of a culmination of all of those things. The DMR being insanely busted at range and just dealing so much damage. The Diamatis basically have you covered anywhere up close. And then, Ghost and Dead Silence and the loot table, the ground loot table, have all combined to make the last week and a half of this game unbearable. Like at the beginning, when not everyone had the DMR, and let alone the Diamatis, but when like not many people had the DMR, we were frying with it. It was great because like most of the lobby didn't have one. Now that everyone has a DMR,
All upgraded, they're good to go.
it makes me want to vomit. But I'm still putting up with it because I'm what they call an addict, and I have a problem.
And Josh, and I have a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking about that would be kind of it's a completely crazy thought. They would never do it, but the more I think about it, the more I think I would kind of love to see it. A way to combat these broken guns is to take every gun that was ever used to be broken, that was a meta, and put them back to those stats. I'm talking Growl back to where it was, Bruin back to where it was, MP5 back to where it was. That way, now it's just you have options. Like, yes, the DMR is overpowered, but okay, you take your DMR and I'll take my no jumping Bruin, and we'll see who can win.
Yeah.
The only way to fight this fire, you got to fight fire with fire. You have broken DMRs. Let's bring back all the broken guns we had before and see what happens. It would piss a lot of people off because you would just be fried by so many different things, but it would give everyone, it'd give you more options. Like right now, it's DMR and DMIs, and that's it. But if you brought back all these broken guns, like okay, I'll run a MP5 and a Bruin and see what I can do.
Yeah, I mean that's true, and I think even outside of that, I mean, I don't think anyone's denying the fact that the other Cold War guns need a buff. They need to be brought up. Most of them are not viable. There's a few that are okay in like very specialized circumstances. Like the FFAR is really good. Like when you get fully leveled, it's really good at close to mid range, but you have to basically carry a sniper rifle with you.
I'm still really concerned and afraid that like if they nerf the DMR, I think the M16.
So they'll need to address that too.
Burst and you're dead. And
yeah,
I haven't seen it used at range. I just seen it used on me from like medium-ish, and you're screwed. There's no chance.
So yeah, I'm not opposed to that. Right now, one thing that people, not the one thing, but there's still a few guns like the AMAX. AMAX is still shreds, still destroys. I've used it, can confirm, still destroys. Really, the only problem is, you can't two tap people. That's a big thing. And so if you're at range and you're spraying people, like you're not going to be able to two tap them like you can with the DMR. And the DMR is just like a lucky two tap half the time. It's like, oh my God, I actually got him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so that's a big issue.
Made up I was thinking about this the other day too. I made up like random numbers in my head. Let's think about, an AR has, let's say 30 bullets in it. You think of what, 10, 15 bullets to kill someone? That's like 30 to 50% of a mag, where the DMR, well, what's the base DMR mag actually?
30 rounds, I think, or 20 rounds.
30 is an attachment, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so it's 20, 24, 25, probably.
I'd say 20. I guess I changed math a little bit, but like 20 round mag.
Kill 10 people.
You need 2 shots. That's what, like 10%? That just doesn't make sense. Like 10%, you got hit 10% of your shots compared to like 30 or 40. Like a terrible person can hit that small amount.
Yeah.
Whereas if they're not that skilled, they're not going to mow someone down with one clip because their aim is so bad. Like they don't need to be as accurate because they can kind of spray it, and you don't need to hit that much, and you're going to kill them. Like, oh hey, look, I did it.
I mean, and the recoil naturally goes up. So really, all you got to do is just center mass, let a couple fire, not really worry about your recoil control, and the shots are going to go up. You know what I mean? You're going to get one of those headshots if they're not moving. So yeah, so it's a lot of things. It's all those things combined. Like I said, the DMR is broken.
Day two, when we were talking, like nothing new. Like the map is still
the
map, but like
exactly.
It's all this broken stuff going on with it. Still kind of the same fucking game going on.
Still having a hard time climbing rocks. Like still having zones shifting to areas you can't access based on where you are, and you're dying to the zone. There's still all of those issues, and like I said, that's very similar to Ghost and Deddy. Those issues have been in the game for a long time, or those people's concerns with those issues have been in the games for a long time. It just is less prevalent when all the guns are balanced better, and you're not just getting mowed down instantly the minute you step outside.
Ghost, I don't think there's anything you can do. That's been a perk in Call of Duty since its since the end of time. So that's
It's worked differently in past titles, though. They need to. It's
I remember though.
like in old Black Ops games. I think it was, if you're moving around, it didn't ping you, but if you sat still, it would still hit you or something
I'd be totally
it
down for that.
it, it has
Game,
worked
if you
different.
have Coast on, you still will show
Yeah,
up.
it has worked. I know it has worked differently, or even not even. So for Ghost, in my mind, and this is a whole another can of worms. It's you have two options: make people visible on UAVs with but then Ghost, that kind of takes away the kind of mystique of Ghost. But it was, so one option is make people visible on UAVs but not heartbeats, or make people not visible on UAVs but visible on heartbeats. Because just because you're Ghost doesn't mean your heart's not beating anymore. Like,
True.
logic, and that would help mitigate Ghost a lot. I mean, because the heartbeats, like, how many times have you used a heartbeat? And it's like, it says, you're in a building or somewhere, it says 6 meters ahead, and you're like, oh, well, it could be on the third floor, fourth floor, second floor. Like, you don't know exactly where they are. You have a good idea of where to expect them from, but they should retool Ghost, something like that.
If they're standing still, they show up. Like, fuck them.
It's always been. Oh,
tins.
And then the final thing that I forgot, the gulag is complete ass. It's horrible. Like, I don't even think they tested the gulag. I'd like to see the stats, because when you spawn on the side with the car, the nasty head glitch car, you're guaranteed a win pretty much. Like the other, like you don't even have to move, and you can basically see down the lane and you kill. And so it's super overpowered to depending on what side you spawned on. I like so in summary, the DMR is overpowered. You can't go anywhere outside in the open, or else you get two tapped instantly. The Diamatis just wreck everyone up close. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Doesn't mean if you're. I've had Diamatis to counter, and it still doesn't matter. Like, somehow they get the first shot off, maybe, and then next thing you know, I'm dead. Deddy exacerbates those things a little bit. Ghost makes playing from like the 3rd minute of the game onward just like a complete nightmare fest, because you have no idea where anybody is. It throws off the whole traditional method of kill people. Yeah. It throws off the traditional way the game has been played, get money, buy UAVs, hunt teams down. It throws that off completely, so you don't really know where to go, what to do.
It's like picking up bounty contracts to see where people are.
And then the gulag, you die, you get fucking destroyed in the war zone. You go to the gulag and you spawn on the side that's not advantageous, you're going to get destroyed there too. So it's all of those things playing together that have made it a disaster. And listen, I saw a tweet, someone was like, listen, Warzone sucks right now and it's horrible and they need to fix it. But I really hope the developers had a really good, restful holiday, and I hope they get the vacation that they deserve. And it's like, I mean, yes, I get it. With Rockstar's whole Red Dead debacle where they were working people like slaves, like, I get the sensitivity to not wanting people in the studios around the clock fixing this shit. It's been 2 weeks. Get your asses in the fucking studio. Get this shit fixed now. Like, if it's not pushed out in a patch tomorrow, I don't know that I'll be able to play the game this weekend, because I don't think I can handle another week of this fucking shit. It's just, it's infuriating.
They need to tread lightly. This is the kind of stuff that leads to games' demise. Just having broken ass shit in the game and not listening to fix it, and taking too long to fix it. You can lead to people leaving forever and whatnot. So as big as this game is, you need to. I mean, I've always said back for like even when Fortnite was so massive, no one thought. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's dead, but it's not as big as it once was, because trickled away from it. It doesn't matter how big you are, even if you're top dog, you gotta fix these things, or else you could fall from grace. Which
they
don't do it soon. They got a problem on their hand.
Yeah, and then to top that all off, that was all in-game actual like game development stuff. There's a new app called the Warzone Companion that you basically can run in conjunction with your client, your game client. And when you load into a game, it'll show you the top players, their KDs, their damage ratios, their headshot percentages, their like win ratio or win percentage or something like that. It'll show you all the top teams. It'll really show you all the teams and their combined KD. It'll show you suspected hackers. So essentially, you load it up and you jump into a game. You get a warning that says, "Hey, there's like potentially 4 hackers in this lobby." You say, "All right, cool. See you later," and you jump out. Or and then the final thing is it'll show you the thing that's probably the most impactful is it'll show you the average KD of the lobby. So, I sit at about a 1.63 on average myself personally. Jump into lobbies, you see, with friends or whatever, and you see the lobbies like a 1.6, 1.7, you're probably like, we should back out, because the goal is obviously to find a lobby whose KD is lower. So I'm doing some testing to hopefully get a YouTube video out for the channel. And I did 20 solo trios and 20 solo quad games where I just loaded in to look at the stats of the lobby, to look at the stats of the top players, to see if there were cheaters. I did so essentially 40 games of that.
Yeah.
Only found one below a 1 KD, and obviously it's one lobby, 40 lobbies, only one below 1 KD, and I realized like a 1.63. What?
That's expected, I guess. Yeah, with what you were at.
I mean, I guess, and in all reality, like you kind of look at it and you're like, oh, 1.63 is not really that high. But in all reality, I'm like the top 10% of like players, and people don't realize that most players don't even like
most people are ass.
1 KD is like still pretty good, like pretty high.
Average-ish, or that's what I would say. The average for every player out there is 1.
Yeah, so it's like at 1.63, I just never really realized. Well, and I've seen the stats and I've looked at them and I'm like, yeah, sure, like top 15%, like my ass, like whatever. But yeah, I mean, it jacked the lobbies up. I mean, I'd have kids with like 4 KD on a pretty regular basis. Like, yeah, there's one kid, he was a hacker. He hit a 13.4 KD. I was like, oh yeah, and like a 70% headshot, 75% headshot rating or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, he's definitely legit. So
I mean, that's what companion would be a big help. It's like I don't want to waste my time playing a game for 20 or so minutes to just get tried by hackers. So if I can use that to tell me, hey, there might be a question mark in here, like, all right, see you later. But
it's
also that people can use it to fry kids.
Yeah, and I mean, so it's completely I'm completely behind it from a casual everyday gamer standpoint for like you and me and our friends. Like, fuck it, like they've had things like this around for Rainbow Six Siege and for Rocket League for a long time, where you could tell things like that. So like it's not a new concept. The problem is, like you said, it removes the competitive aspect of the game completely. So like these kill races, bot races, whatever you want to call them, tournaments, unless you're requiring the individuals to stream everything, to show all the apps they have open on their desktop whenever they're playing, like that's the only way you can get around it. And to the app's credit, it sort of already has itself built in to do something like that, because you can open it. So if you just opened it without the game open, you can put it on whatever monitor you want. The minute you open it with the game, it loads up on the game screen. So you can't have it sitting on your off monitor, just chilling there. It would be shown if you were streaming. Like anytime you open it up, it would be shown. So to the developer of this app's credit, that's already kind of a fail-safe for catching streamers doing this anyways. So they'd have to basically hide their entire screen, like black out the whole screen, in order to get away with having this. But still, the point of the fact is still that it destroys the competitive side of the game for people using this. If you're trying to get into streamers lobbies, it helps that to an extent. You basically just keep leaving and joining until you find them. And the hackers, it's nice. It's flagged some people as like max suspicion. And I'm just like, I look at the stats. I'm like, I don't know that they're actually hacking though.
They're actually good.
Yeah, I don't like because it'll be. And one thing I'm realizing is like one of the stats is damage ratio. So it's like
Mhm.
the damage ratio is like how much damage do you output versus how much do you take, and
Yeah.
that seems to be a more telling um, cheating stat because there'll be kids with like a 4 KD, 35% headshot average, but then their like damage ratio is like 9. So they're putting out like 9 times more damage than they're taking, I think is how you interpret that. And so I mean, obviously they don't have their aim bots cranked up super high to snap to heads, but they're drilling people in their, they're drilling a lot of people in the body without getting shot themselves. So either they're gods at positioning, or they're shooting people from like
Yeah.
a pretty
Hazard
far distance.
just
Yeah.
laying people out.
So like that's the one thing. So I don't know how accurate it is. I take it with a grain of salt, but it's still kind of cool to be like, hey, there's suspected hackers in this game.
Yeah.
I'll save the reveal for the video, but spoiler alert, it's a lot of games that there are hackers.
Oh no, who would have
Like
thought?
like a lot. Like
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
over half, probably around 75%. So
Yeah.
and then the other thing I'm looking at too with this is like, I play with two friends, both on Xbox. One friend's got a 0.38 KD, so not the greatest. Tim, if you're watching, I'm sorry to call you out like this, but but he's aware of it. He admits to it. And the lobby doesn't really scale to your party as a whole. Like, it doesn't. We always thought that party leader played a huge role. It doesn't really at all. So yeah, so I'm still doing more. I have some other variables I want to test. I want to see if the lobbies get worse if I become the party leader, but I also want to test it using controller, see if the lobbies get easier while everyone in the lobby's on controller. So there's some things. So keep an eye out for the YouTube video for that. I'm going to try to do that and summarize it. I'm putting more work into that video than I think I do in my actual job. So, I know. Either way, the state of Warzone right now is meh. Very
bad, I'd say.
very bad, from an actual physical gameplay sense and like the enjoyment you get from playing the game. Very, very bad. And then obviously they've got this app that's kind of floating around that's potentially ruining the competitive side of things. So it's not good either way. So yeah.
Fingers crossed. Hopefully, they fix
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, hopefully, like I said, usually they do weekly updates on Tuesday. That is tomorrow. If you're watching live right now, so hopefully they take care of that in some way, shape, or form. But
I'm gonna guess no, but
we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I hope so. But all right, so we've been rambling about Call of Duty for enough. There are some additional things to look at or to talk about. CD Projekt Red, they're in some hot water.
yeah, that they are gonna class action lawsuit brought against them.
Oh yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, CD Projekt Red, they're the developers behind Cyberpunk 2077. 2077 is essentially unplayable on what would have been current gen systems, the Xbox One and the PS4 at the time. They're essentially
base though. Like I guess
yeah.
We're not talking like PS4 Pro or all that kind of like further that stemmed out. We're talking like base first release PS4, first release Xbox Ones cannot run this game to save their lives.
Yeah. So they're buggy. They like can't render half the shit. So essentially the lawsuits being brought on by investors that joined CD Projekt Red from like January of 19 to like December of this year, I think, or 2020 rather. So like people who joined within the last like year and a half, 2 years, investors who joined, gave money, expected a return on that investment because the game was supposed to be, revolutionary, the next big thing. I mean, granted, it has sold 13 million copies.
Yeah.
So like it sold really well. It's just it got pulled from the Sony store. It got pulled from the Xbox store. Sony and Xbox, I think, were both giving refunds to anyone who bought the game. So like yeah, it sold that many copies, but how many of those copies were returned for the complimentary refund is the number that's not really out there.
Yeah, I'm like curious to see what the how much they sell to those base consoles. Like, what's the breakdown between Xbox One, PS4s, and then like PS5s, Xbox Ones,
Even Xbox, Xbox One X's, PS4 Pros, because I'm assuming those would be able to play the game.
Yeah, like I said, it says the base
Yeah.
ones are nearly unplayable. So I think everything else you can muddle through, but the base stuff you're having problems with. And yeah, I'm just curious to how many copies were sold to those base platforms. I'd like to see if it's a big chunk of it or not. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I play on PC. Like I said, I've seen like little to nothing with my next gen consoles seem fine. It's just these base consoles cannot hang, which I remember talking about before when last episode, I think, or 2 episodes, when we talked about when the problems first came up. I mean, I was kind of surprised because it is supposed to be
it was being developed for those consoles.
It's supposed to be I guess, last gen,
Yeah.
prior gen, whatever you want to call it now these days. It's supposed to be only on those consoles, and that's where they're struggling the most, is on what it originally was supposed to be on.
Yeah. Which I don't want to beat a dead horse too much. And we mentioned it, I think, in the last episode or whatever. But I mean, that's the thing. Like that's the logical thought process. You said you were developing this game for what was at the time the current generation. I'm sure they had some numbers of like the market breakdown of how many people had Xbox One X's and how many people had PS4 Pros. Great, sure. I still wouldn't say that, 80% of the market at the time that they were developing the game had those consoles. I would say maybe 50-50 if you're lucky. Probably even less than that, just because, we spent $500 on a console, everything else ran fine. Why would you spend another $500 on a new console, just to get a little bit of a buff, So yeah, so I think it's kind of crazy that my
consoles I have are base. I have the PS4, which I got on a week or two after they was released, and then I eventually got an Xbox One because all of us were still kind of playing COD on that. So I had to hunt down one of those. So both systems I have are base still. So I would, if I didn't build my PC and I have not been able to get a PS5, I would be one of those persons who, if I wanted to get the Cyberpunk now, I would have bought it for a base system, and I would not have been able to play it.
Yeah. So it kind of blows my mind that they were developing this game for that generation, and
that's like where it's struggling the most.
And just basically said like F it. And and we talked about it in the last episode. So if you want a little bit more context, go back and listen to that episode. But in all reality, what could have happened is it got pushed back more and more. They realized that they couldn't make it work on the previous hardware. And so they said, all right, let's fudge it until we get to the next gen releases and just release it. And hopefully people don't give too much of a shit about it, because it'll play perfectly on the current or on the next gen. It'll play perfectly on PC. It'll just be a pain in the ass on the older gen consoles. And that's where the crux of the lawsuit comes from, is they're saying, the investors are saying they were misled, fraudulent claims, or that CD Projekt Red knew all along that the console, the Xbox Ones and the PS4s couldn't run the game. They knew that their bugs were there. They knew that they were going to be plagued with issues. They knew all those things from the get-go. And that's where the class action lawsuit's basically coming into play, is them, investors attacking CD Projekt Red for knowing those things and willingly not addressing them, and just forging on, keeping things under the radar, and just hoping that nothing would happen. And if that's the case, shame on them, and they deserve something. I mean, they definitely, if they knew all along, yes, they deserve some sort of legal action, because that's bullshit, in my opinion. That is the game industry that I was hoping CD Projekt wasn't a part of, like Activision, like EA, all those game developers that are like what most people would term as like the evil, the evil empire of gaming, is all those development studios that do shitty things, like release games like Anthem, And well, so that's the funny thing. I always used to joke about it not being able to beat Anthem, but it more or less has. So, but yeah, I mean, and that's, that's the industry as a whole that I think everybody would want removed. Is that kind of shady dealing? And I was always kind of like, oh, CD Projekt Red's not like that. Look at The Witcher. Look at blah blah blah. But it turns out they may actually be like that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they aren't. I mean, I still kind of like to think maybe it's just the circumstance of the game getting delayed and pushed back and back and back, and just all these different versions they had to make. Who knows? But
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's a one-time thing. If they continue to drop games that can't run on everything, then maybe we can start thinking it. I guess I'll give them benefit of the doubt because it's the first time doing it. Like I said, The Witcher and all that good stuff ran very well, and there were no issues there. So let's hope they had a hiccup and they're moving on from here. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Hopefully. Well, you know what? I bet I know a console that it'll play phenomenally on.
Honestly, maybe I do one myself.
So I don't know if anyone else has seen this, but I thought it was a joke. KFC is making a console, legitimate console. I saw a meme the other day that so KFC obviously this is confirmed. The KFC one is confirmed, but I saw a meme the other day that had the KFC console and it said McDonald's is making a console and it says the real console wars have started. Like, and it's like, hey, maybe if they're gonna do it, but either way.
Question: How do you say this? You say KF console, or is it KFC console or KFC console? Because like it's written KFC.
Yeah, I would say KF console. KF console. Yeah, I guess. Kentucky Fried Console, man. So yeah, so I don't know if anyone else saw this, but I did. Obviously we did, and I think both of us thought it was fake for a little bit, but no, it's confirmed. It's powered by Intel, and Cooler Master has built the case and the cooling system, I believe. So it was announced, the day after the PS5 reveal in June, I think that was, and it's pretty solid when you look at it. So I wouldn't say based on looking at it, I was gonna say it's not so much a console as it is like a small form factor PC.
Like the description, like, oh, the KFC console, and the description's like this, this custom made PC. So
yeah,
it's a console, but in the description it's called itself PC. But I guess in the end, aren't all consoles just PCs? And
yeah, pretty much. Aren't we all just dying as we're living? Yeah, so it's pretty legit. I mean, they're shooting for VR ready, 4K ray tracing gameplay, 200 FPS, 240 FPS rather, and they've actually the joke of what I thought was a joke was it's a heating chamber for your food, for your chicken, but apparently they've actually designed the cooling system to vent heat towards this like heating chamber, and you order some KFC, you throw your KFC. I know.
Used for it.
I mean, exactly. And so, it gets warm, you toss your chicken in there or something else, and it keeps your meal hot while you're playing. And
big question, selling point, like, is this thing only allowed chicken, or can I put different things into it? I need to know the menu. I need to see the recipe.
what they've tested, what they find compatible with the KFC console.
Can I put some fries?
See, I don't know, things that are too runny. Like that's the thing I'm thinking, like cheese and things like that.
Is there a tray to catch stuff? Yeah,
I don't know. Like an air fryer bin, basically, that you pull out. Actually, that's probably the way they're going. Yeah, but
amazing. So
yeah. So so here we go. Another console, because we did have obviously the Stadia, technically a console. They're kind of in the race. They've flopped massively since they released. Soulja Boy, the rapper. I don't know how old anyone is listening to this, but if you're my age, you remember Soulja Boy. He was making a console. Like, this has been these people, these companies, these entities that have wanted to make consoles, and KFC, they're doing it. They want to. I mean, because and this goes back to the initial topic we talked about as far as the gaming industry being so big. There's a lot of these other things getting into gaming now. Mountain Dew, obviously, Game Fuel. That's more logical. But Twisted Tea has a Twisted Tea gaming. There's Reese's has a gaming thing. Kind of a gaming thing. And then all the food delivery companies, Uber Eats, Postmates,
Has a Twitch account.
Wendy's.
Stream.
Yeah, so there's all these companies in these various industries getting into sponsoring streamers, having a gaming channel themselves. So here's the next evolution. We've got a fast food restaurant making a gaming console, gaming PC, for lack of better description.
It looks like it's pretty solid. I mean, they're doing it at the right time. It's like, yeah, you have people who can't get their hands on a PS5 or an Xbox One to save their lives. Maybe they're like, screw it. Let me give this
Yeah.
KFC also a try.
It depends on how expensive it is, but yeah, I mean, why not, right?
Prices, yeah. We just know it's a thing. We don't know price, so we gotta
Yeah.
see what they're trying to sell these bad boys at.
So could be interesting. Hey, I'm always a fan of keeping my food hot and ready. So I mean, if this thing nukes games and it nukes your food, like, I mean, it's like the best of both worlds, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. I remember, I just can't still believe it's like real. Like I remember seeing it. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw it all the time. Even
I
when first
know.
I was like, wow, these guys are really playing to
I was gonna say there's ads all over Twitter and stuff like that.
Like they actually put a lot of effort into making a
Yep.
nice looking design for a fake joke. Oh no, it's real. Never mind.
Yep. So yeah. So here we are, 2021.
It comes out.
I know, 2021 KFC gaming console. So we'll let you guys know. Yeah, I mean, I think other than that, I mean that's pretty much everything we had on the slate tonight. I mean, do you have anything else? Can you think of anything else? I mean, there's obviously a lot of things going on. I mean, I just want to. Actually, I just thought of something. I like to throw my bi-weekly shade at Ninja. As is tradition. He apparently called out. Well, did you see the whole spiel with him yelling at like some 17-year-old in Valorant? He like who's yelling like this kid was talking to him. He was yelling at him, and he was like, where's bank receipts or something like that. Like he was flaunting his money, like he always does. That, and then he was playing again Valorant, and he accused someone on the other team who actually had turned out to be a TSM pro Valorant player. I think he accused him of cheating, or he made insinuations of suspicion. And then on the guy on the TSM player, like on his stream, was just like, hey, listen, like Ninja's a loudmouth. He's so competitive to the point where he says dumb shit. Like that's who he is. And he's loud. He says stupid things. And he's like, just ignore him. Like, just ignore him. He'll go away. And I'm just like, oh God, thank you. Thank you. Like he just, I'm so glad. I mean, he's still pulling in like 18K. Like he's still there, but like he's.
I saw like 8. I don't know about 8.
I don't know. Yeah, I was in today. Yeah, like today when I was watching Tim and shit like that, and you just because I was on the W Key channel, and so I don't follow him on that one, and so he's just always in the bar, and yeah, he's still pulling like 18K, peak probably. So it's like he's got a lot. He's just not where he was, which is great. He's not like the face of gaming anymore necessarily. I mean, I think any non-gamer still knows him more than anybody else, and he's still doing things to make money and still staying relevant. I just think it's nice that he's not like the centerpiece anymore, because God, I hate him so much.
Yeah, I mean, before it's like if you mentioned Twitch, like, oh, that place where Ninja streams.
Yeah, that blue-haired fuck.
He was just like the poster boy for the website. I'm just glad he's not anymore.
So yeah, little. I thought that was funny. I saw a video on it today. I didn't realize it happened either, but yeah, it's interesting. It's funny situation. There's a lot going on. Obviously, we handpicked some of the bigger things, and some of the things obviously that appeal mostly to us. So because we obviously run the show, we do whatever we want. So yeah. So hopefully, well, actually, I would say, think of anything else off the top of your head. Anything we might have glossed over. It always happens to me. We get to like the end, and I've had a burning topic to talk about, and I completely forgot. So
yeah, I think I'm good. I have been kind of out of touch. I've been doing a lot of training and whatnot, anyways, for work. So
yeah,
little out of touch of sorts anyway, so I don't have all the info we used to have back in the day.
Back in the day, I didn't do a whole. I wasn't very productive today either. I haven't really been, obviously, New Year and everything. Traveling for the holidays and stuff like that. You know what you can do for traveling. I haven't really been paying attention. The holidays are always tough for the gaming industry because a lot of people, that's what they're doing. They're doing holiday. They're doing things with their families. There's not a whole lot going on. Yeah, so. But other than that, we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to do the same thing I always do. I give the boring spiel at the beginning. I give the boring spiel at the end. So if you want to skip it, skip it. If not, we appreciate you guys hanging around. If you like what you're seeing, hearing, whatever it is, wherever you're listening to us or wherever you're watching us, make sure to follow our social medias. Pretty much everything is just at W_key_podcast. We're Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. But that handle also is us on DLive, Trovo, Twitch, really anywhere. Twitter, I already mentioned that. So really anywhere you want to find us, W_key_podcast is going to find us. If you guys are into it, rating and reviewing helps us out a lot. You can do that on Podchaser. Podchaser is like the IMDb of podcasts. You can go there, give us a rating, give us a review if that's something you're into, if that's something you do. If not, tell somebody. Word of mouth is also really big too. So, if you're not into rating and reviewing, that's not really what you do. Share us with a friend, a family member, someone you think might like what we're doing. You like it, you think they might like it. Let them know. Give the gift of us this year. Other than that, my socials, I have a Twitter, JFrosty, basically written the exact way that it's on the screen. Don't really use it a lot, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Matt, why don't you hit them with your socials, and then we'll wrap this bitch up.
We got Technique, let's say Technique TV on Instagram. That's kind of what I've been using more and more. Technique on Twitter. Also, don't use it as much. Should try to, but it's just tough. And stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday over on twitch.tv/technique. All the shade we kind of threw at Cyberpunk, I'm about to go stream some of it. So
we threw the shade at it for the consoles. Yeah, the old gen. You console peasants. Perfect. All right, so we're gonna get out of here. Always remember, we stream every other Monday. So not next week, the week after. Our episodes, audio versions, release every Wednesday or every other Wednesday, relatively speaking. Wednesday or Thursday, generally speaking. So keep an eye out for that. We're everywhere you get your podcasts. So if you ever say, hey, where can I listen to you? Literally any app you have for your podcast, you'll be able to find us. Looky that. We make it easy for you. We're really discoverable, I guess. Other than that, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Always remember, can't spell win without W.